Hi guys, I'm Gasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to your coffee times to discuss books and horror. And today we're here to take a look at some of the horror book releases for the month of November.
It's coffee time!
So in October we had a lot of horror releases, which I guess it's kind of expected, and a lot of those were short horror stories, which I guess also it's a good thing for people that want to read more horror during Halloween season. The month of November is a little bit slim pickings. I have not been able to find too many releases. I have a list of only 16. So if there's any other ones out there, please let me know in the comments. I have tried my best to find new releases, and this is the list that I have come up with. So today we're gonna take a look at some thrillers and horrors of all ages that I found are coming out in the month of November. I have to say I found also quite a lot of novellas in this list, and there is a couple of well-known authors that are coming up with books in November. Especially I'm really excited for one. I'll let you guys know when we get to that. As always, we're going to talk about the books in publication order, and I'm going to avoid as many spoilers as I can because sometimes the synopsis of these books have kind of spoilery parts. Twisting Parallels by Steve L. Clark, and this is the first novella that we have on the list. These are 13 horror tales that are giving us a kind of like another reality. So instead of having this world as it is, it's like a mirror image of the world we live in, but full of horrors. So if you're looking for more short horror stories for the month of November, this might be one that you want to check out. The Woodcutters by George Hansen, and this is another novella. This is a dark supernatural story inspired by real events. I'm gonna read what it's inspired by because I don't want to get it wrong, but it's inspired by the wagon box fight of 1867 in the Wyoming Territory. Now, I'm not familiar with this, but maybe some of you guys are and are interested in this novella. So Lewis has run away from home, and he's not been very lucky. He's had many misadventures, and now he has come across an army base of woodcutters. The crew is ambushed and a lot of them end up dying and perishing, and Lewis is now left alone in the wilderness. In his fight for survival, there will be otherworldly forces that are coming against him. So this is a true tale of survival. Everything is Temporary by John Kahn, and this is a book that I have gotten for my Kindle. It was available on NetGalley in case you're interested, and I got this one because it's kind of like a Christmas horror story, so I think I'm gonna wait and read this one in December. Tragedy strikes the Barnes family, and Sarah's husband Tom starts to act weird, so much so that he becomes aggressive against a Santa at the mall, and she realizes that there seems to be some sort of trauma from his childhood that makes him hate Christmas and act violently now. So she kind of tries to discover what happened to him, what kind of memory he has suppressed to make him act like this. I'm really excited about this one. There's not way too many horror books that are released that are really Christmas themed. Most of them are winter themed or with snow and stuff like that, but I always enjoy a good horror based around Christmas season. I think it's very festive. I mean, red is one of the colors that we always have around Christmas, and blood is red, so you put two and two together, you know? I truly need more coffee today. It's just, I apologize. Food for Thought by Ariana Ferrante. So we have Limos, and she is the goddess of starvation, and when she is called upon, she helps to destroy crops and to bring drought into the world, so people are not particularly happy when they see her. And the opposite is goddess Demeter, and she is the one that brings prosperity and the one that brings good harvest and crops, so everybody is really content and happy when they see her. Now, these two goddesses are not supposed to meet ever at all, but one day one of them comes knocking at the other one's door asking for help. So what will happen? Where He Can't Find You by Darcy Coates, and this is a YA horror mystery thriller. Now Darcy Coates has been lately writing some YA titles, and this is one of them. So if you always wanted to read Darcy Coates but you didn't want to read adult, now you have some options. Abby Ward lives in a town haunted by disappearances. People disappear and then they turn up dead, but they have been dismembered, and then their bodies have been reassembled in weird shape and probably really disturbing ways. Is this the work of a human serial killer? Is there something supernatural here at hand? So Abby and her sister live in a very strict house with very strict rules in order to avoid being taken. So this is why it's really surprising to Abby when her sister is taken. Now it's personal. Now she has to really try to find her sister and figure out who is behind all of this before her sister's body reappears dead. This sounds quite gruesome and quite graphic for a YA, so I am really excited for it. Forbidden Gardens by Claire Castleberry. This is the second book, a follow-up to the Azalea House, so I'm gonna tell you what that first book is about. On her 16th birthday, Marianne's world is turned upside down. Her parents die, and she and her brother Marcus are basically left alone in the world. They go to the Azalea House, which is a property that has been in the family for a long time, and that is when she realizes that inside of that house there are ghosts that are still attached to it. One of them is one of the gardeners that used to work there. There's also, I think, a set of twins. So she starts to talk to the ghost, I believe, to try to figure out the family's mystery. Girl Amongst Crows by Brendan Vayo. Two boys disappeared from town, and Daphne realizes that this disappearance sounds very familiar to her brother's disappearance, who happened 30 years ago. She warns the people in town about it. She warns them that this might have something to do with some sort of like Norse mythology, sacrifice kind of thing, but obviously no one believes her. So Daphne is left with a very tough choice. She can try to investigate without barely any resources, or she can grant the FBI an interview, and they've been wanting this since the brother disappeared. So she's kind of in a pickle because she needs help and she is determined to stop this from happening. The next one is called Under Her Eye, a Women in Horror Poetry Showcase, Volume 2. And this is basically what the title implies. It is a horror poetry compilation, all by female writers. This is a compilation that celebrates women in horror, and if you love horror poetry, we also don't get way too much of that. So this is another one that's coming out in the month of November that you might be interested in. A Dark Rue by Blaine Daigle. This is a dark mystic tale about a superstition and something that happened summers ago in the waters in Louisiana, and it follows Rhiannon, and she is forced to go back to that place after her mother passes away and is confronted with what happened in the past. It's one of those stories where something tragic happened, we don't really know what, and then in the future our main character is forced to go back to that place, to revisit it, to kind of be confronted with the secrets and the events that happened there, and we normally, the reader, are kind of discovering what happened together with the character as they regain memories and knowledge about it. I'm always intrigued about these stories. There's something about traumatic events that have been suppressed by our brain and how our characters then put the pieces of the puzzle together that I find quite intriguing. Saint GRE by Kaylee Schultz, and this is a very short novella. I think it's under 100 pages. From what I can tell from the synopsis, I think this one is going to have mature content, so keep that in mind when you go into it. I kind of feel like the cover also tells you that it's headed in that direction. So if you are looking for a more erotic horror tale, this might be one for you. Also, it's very short, so if you're looking for something quick to read, here is one of your choices. Candy Cane Kills by Brian McCauley, and this promises to be another perfect Christmas horror story based on the cover that I think is great. So Austin's parents force him to go to this cabin to celebrate Christmas with the family, and he's not happy about it. But when they get there, you know, things get even worse than he could have anticipated, because there is now a serial killer on the loose that is targeting his family. Good Girls Don't Die by Christina Henry, and this is my most anticipated read for the month of November. I love Christina Henry. I just love how ridiculously dark but at the same time beautiful her stories are. She also has a fantastic talent to turn fairy tales, like fluffy fairy tales, into your worst nightmare. And I love that for her. So I really have enjoyed all the books I have read by her, so I'm super excited for this one. So this book also does something that I love. We have three women with three different stories that all three of them have to fight. And I'm super excited. I love when authors combine like different timelines or different stories and they're all related somehow. And knowing Christina Henry, I think I need to get ready for the unexpected. Like I said, this is an out-to-buy author for me, so I'm just really excited about this. Mothtown by Caroline Hardaker. So David is growing up and he knows that there is something really wrong in the world right now, but he doesn't exactly know what's going on. His parents have been sheltering him, not telling him what's going on. They don't let him watch the news or get in contact with anything, any kind of bit of information about what's going on in the world. But there are rumors in school that people are going missing and their bodies are reappearing with wings and weird stuff like that. And most importantly, David's grandfather has always been really important to him, and his parents have told him that he has died, but he's not so sure about that. So this one sounds quite intriguing because we are left in the dark a little bit like David, and we'll have to figure out what's going on here. Vicarious by Chloe Spencer has a quite intriguing cover. Gertie was assaulted in a bathroom years ago, and after that traumatic event she meets a guy and she knows he's the love of her life, so she starts a relationship with him. They begin to create this life together and she starts forgetting about her past, but then Jack sadly passes away. Apart from that, her school bully returns to her life and there's a lot of things from her past that are coming back, including her trauma. But this time she decides that what she wants is revenge. But nobody prepared her for how messy revenge could be, and that you might get in trouble if you let that revenge take over you. Mr. Lilaby by J.H. Markert, and this is a kind of like a paranormal horror thriller and it sounds interesting. So there's a small town with an old train tunnel and they have tried to shut down that tunnel because there's a lot of bad things that have happened in there. A young boy, Sully, was injured there and he's still in a coma at the hospital. And then two more bodies were found at the entrance of the tunnel, and that's where the town was like, we truly need to shut this down, like forever. And then Sully wakes up like very briefly from his coma just to let the people know that his soul is trapped on the other side of the tunnel together with other kids that are in a coma right now, and that just sounds really interesting to me. This kind of like paranormal take on what it seems to be a regular thriller, so I'm really excited for this. Golit Talk by Andrew Nashberg. It is post-nuclear Eastern Europe and Varka decides to go and explore a prison. It is an abandoned prison called Golit Talk that is in an island. What he wants to do in this island, in this prison, is kind of like clean his family's reputation. And when he gets there to this remote island, to this prison, he's kind of trying to investigate, and there's a lot of truths that are going to be uncovered and way darker secrets than he anticipated. There's something really intriguing to me to abandoned buildings. I think I speak for everyone when I say abandoned buildings have some sort of pull, and they always have. I've always loved, also when I was younger, if I saw a building that was abandoned and there was any way that I could sneak inside, I always did. And what I used to do was collect, if I would find any keys on doors or on the floor from those buildings, I don't know, something that I used to do when I was younger. But anyways, this was the last book that I had on my list. These were the 16 titles that I had on my list. As I said, not too much that I could find for this month, so do let me know down below if there's any other ones that I have missed. I still hope that you found something in this list that is interesting to you. Let me know down below if there's any of these titles that you are excited about. Let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in our next coffee time. Bye!